Welcome to the Differential Show.
Here are my top 5 Salah replacements, excluding the obvious. Think about this. We have put all of our faith, a lot of our funds, into one man. And that one man is now going on vacation. And he's given all those funds back. So what do we do with those funds?
Number 5.
Coming in at number 5 is Richarlison. I feel he's a very good pickup based off of he is a midfielder coming in as playing a striker role, and he's actually a striker. And his biggest competition on the team has gone off to the Asia Cup, which in Son. Is that good or bad though? To me, it's good just based off of if there is going to be a goal in the game, I'm going to expect Richarlison to be a part of it. One of the risks was minutes, but in this last game, he was well into the 80th minute marker, so I would expect him to come and play the majority of the game in the games that are ahead of us while Salah's out. So what do we see with the stats so far? Points per game, 7.0. XG is 0.58, and that's throughout the season. But if we look at the underlying stats for the last 5 games, his XGI is 3.5. Now that's up from 1.8 a couple weeks ago, which is excellent. His X points is 28.9 compared to his 41 actual points, so he's over performing, but I think with the lack of Son, it will pan out. I do think you will see a bit of a consistent player that you're getting at 6.8, with probably at least one return every game or every other game while Son and Salah are out.
Number 4.
Shockingly, Garnacho's been pretty good lately. He had an assist this past game, and then he had a couple goals the game before. If you look at it, for 4.8 million, what are you getting? You're getting funds freed up for the first and foremost. But also, you're getting a player that has played at least 70 minutes for the last 8 games, pretty much saying that he is nailed. If you look at the points projected for the next 3 games, above 4, and he's got 2 out of 3 home games. He's averaging 4.36 and 0.39 XG for 4.8. That's pretty good value. The big thing is, why would I put him above Richarlison? And that's solely on the funds, and that he's playing and the fixtures are pretty decent.
Number 3.
Do you remember when Forest was the team to attack? When it came to the fixtures, and we looked at them and we said that's an easy game. And then something switched on with this team. They started scoring goals. They have 8 goals in the last 5 games. Yes, I recognize Chris Wood had the hat trick, and I almost brought him in for my own team this week. But usually what happens after a hat trick is a blank, but unlike Solanke, who had the goal, but that's kind of usually what happens. The guy that has been pretty consistent when it comes to minutes, position on the field, okay, and returns. He has 1 goal, 3 assists in the last 5 game weeks. And if you just look at the 3 games that are coming up, Brighton away, they have conceded every game. Arsenal at home, they're not indestructible. They can be beaten. Bournemouth away. Now, they've been doing well, but Elanga is playing 90 minutes and he's getting the returns. His points per game, 4.67. His XG, 0.24. His home and away splits are pretty even. And his underlying data, his XGI in the last 5 is 2.4. XA, 0.99. So you really see more assists than goals from him. Expected points, 22.66 to his 22 points. At 5.0, just think what you could do with this. If you took Salah all the way down to 5.0, and then what do you see? You see De Bruyne starting to get some minutes, starting to get some returns. Now you have the funds to flip one of your other midfielders, can I say, like Gordon, something like that, into De Bruyne. A huge differential based off of that price. So this is something that I would consider. I don't even think it's a risky move to bring in Elanga at 5.0. You know, who's a better midfielder at that price? I don't think there is one. I wouldn't even say Garnacho. I think with him, you're looking at 90 minutes every game, and he's on a team that's scoring, unlike Man U.
Number 2.
Who is this Phil Foden character that we've seen in the past? This young lad with all the potential, but with loads of inconsistency. He would spark here, spark there, a glimpse of something good, and then as FPL owners, the constant transfer out. I've been hesitant to ever have Foden just based off of the consistency. But what I saw today against Sheffield United, and I know they are a weak team, I understand that, but by far was Phil the best player on the field, and that's including his own team. He made all the players around him that much better. And if we look at the heat map, he's all over the field, especially more central than you would normally see him. More opportunity to be on the field, especially with De Bruyne coming back. And as we saw, he was on the bench today. Look at the fixtures coming up. Newcastle away. That's not a hard fixture anymore. That team's falling apart. Burnley at home. They gave up some goals, didn't they? And Brentford in the last 5 games have given up the most goals. So in my opinion, this is an easy add for Salah at 7.7. That's not a high number. That's an easy transition. As long as you can afford Holland and you want to go to Holland, I would suggest going to Phil Foden. So we look at his XG, it's 0.14, but in the last 5 game weeks, it's actually 0.71. And his XA is 1.37. Expected points 19.1 to his 24 points. So he's not over exceeding the expected points. So we can kind of predict that this can keep on going. And I think with his ability to play multiple positions, we would expect him to still be on the field. Because really his only competition on the right side is Silva. Silva's an older player. Foden can always tuck into the middle too and play in the midfield. So it's an easy add for me. If you have the funds, in the past, this would be a hesitation. For right now, I think this is someone at 15+% owned. Yes, he's a little higher owned, but I haven't seen him on that many teams, but we will see him on more teams this coming week.
Number 1.
Olise was my number 2 transfer in last week, and he should have been my number 1. I did pick him up on my own team, so I was glad to get the 15 points. This is what we saw in the past from him, but off injury with Eze on the team, and he's only going to get better with Edouard coming back at some point this season. This is a player at 5.8 million. I mean, even if he's not your Salah replacement, he should be probably like a Gordon replacement if you think about it. I know he has the Arsenal away fixture coming up, so it doesn't have to be an instant add because Arsenal is one of the, if not the best defensive team. But right after that Sheffield United game, you could see 2 goals. Easy. So his points per game has gone up to 7, and his XG is 0.4. His home and away splits are pretty solid down the middle. If we're looking at his underlying data, his XGI is 3.7. His XA is 1.49. Expected points, and this is all in the last 5 games, is 28.21 compared to his 40. So he has been overachieving, but I just think the quality of play around him has improved. Crystal Palace as a whole has improved, and I think he's only going to get better. And if we look at the percentage of what he is currently owned at 1.3, it's going to go up. You have a huge differential, and you might want to just get him in early because I still think he can produce against Arsenal. Arsenal's not this undefeated team in the back. They can leak goals in. Before we go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me a like. I'm FPL Marty, and this is the Differential Show.